I got an email the other day from a young man, very polite email, and he was asking how I got my start in automotive television. And it's funny because I get asked that a couple times a year from people, and the answer always depends on how much time we have for that answer. If we're in a hurry, I can give you a 30-second version, or we can go on for an hour if we want to. But I'm going to not try to drag this one on too long. But this will be, it never was a plan, right? I didn't go to school to try to learn how to host. I didn't ever set out to be on television. It all happened kind of as a fluke. And it's a testament to working hard, showing up on time, and treating people good. That's honestly why I think I've been able to be in this career for the better part of 25 years, which is really exciting. So if you're familiar with the stuff that I do, obviously Truck U, we've been doing that show now. We're in about 2 weeks. We're going to wrap up the 20th season of Truck U, which is crazy. That's unheard of. And I don't say that bragging. I say that as just appreciative. And I say that as just so happy because I love that gig. The people that I work with are great, and it's just a lot of fun. And we got the green light for the 21st year, which is cool. So, but how did it all start? Well, if we go back to, I'm going to say probably the late 90s, right? I got a little fire going on too, burning some hurricane junk. So late 90s, I'm working at 8 Seconds, a big country nightclub in Orlando, Florida. I was just wondering what I'm going to do with my life because I had no direction at that time. It was a couple of years after I graduated college and just chilling. But Chuck Davis, who is one of my business partners in Trucks Gone Wild now, worked with Monster Jam, and he worked with the Florida shows. They had crush cars back then, and Chuck was very instrumental in organizing a lot of the dirt and the crush cars and things like that. And Monster Jam as a company was just it kept getting sold and bought and sold, and they were expanding rapidly, and they needed announcers. So Chuck, I was the announcer at 8 Seconds. I announced everything there, did all the radio commercials and stuff. And Chuck made the introduction, and that went good, and I started working and announcing for Monster Jam. A couple years into that, they get a 1-hour deal with Speed Channel, and we're going to do a 1-hour, one-off show from the Monster Jam World Finals in Las Vegas. And I was already out there, and they came to me, Monster Jam came to me and said, hey, do you want to be on the show? And I was like, absolutely. Never been on TV. That'd be cool, right? I was like, but I had to know. I was like, why are you guys asking me? They go, Matt, they go, you're young, and you're thin, and you're going to be there anyway. I was like, good enough for me. I'm in. Sign me up. So we do the show. It's a blast. And I was the pit reporter guy, right? So I would do all like before the guys went out, I'd do the interviews, like the pre-staging interviews and all this, that, the other. And then if they crashed and wadded the truck into a ball, we'd haul out there in the golf cart and be like, dude, what happened? Boom. It was so much fun, and got to travel around the country doing that for a while. That show got picked up for, like a weekly show after that. So they hired me for that, which was phenomenal. That was awesome. So that was how it all started. No plan, nothing. When I was a kid, there was never like a goal to be on television or anything like that. It just sort of happened from working hard and showing up on time and treating people good, right? So throughout that, with Monster Jam being on, I knew Ken Stout and Steve Grind, and they had another production company, and they were doing a show called Lucas Oil on the Edge. And what Lucas Oil on the Edge would do is they'd go to these smaller events, like these niche events, and they'd broadcast them, and they could get TV coverage. It was really cool. And I knew those guys. They're like, hey, you can basically co-host that or pit report on those shows as well. I was like, absolutely, man, sign me up. And I remember they were like, hey, we're doing Gravel-Rama. Any interest in doing that? I couldn't believe it. I was like, Gravel-Rama? Hell yeah. Because I'd always wanted to go to that. And now I was getting to work at it, which was great. So Monster Jam, Lucas on the Edge, I didn't do a ton of those, but I did a few. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how it got found out that Brenton Productions, which is who owns Truck U and Two Guys Garage, and they've been in automotive television business forever. And they wanted to do a truck show, which was Truck U. But at the time, it was the idea. And so they were auditioning people for hosts. And I forget how I found out about it. I don't know if somebody grabbed a headshot somewhere or something, but the cool thing was that show was also going to be on Speed Channel. And Speed Channel, they had to approve the talent. And so I had one advantage in that going into it is that I was already on Speed Channel and they were familiar with me. So that helped. I go into the audition process. I go over to Tampa. I walk into the room and Dave Bowman greets me. And Dave Bowman is like a legend in the automotive television world. He's about 6.5 feet tall and just friendliest dude ever. and he's very welcoming, and he tells me a little bit about what we have to do. And then I go into a room with, I don't know, 6 or 7 dudes, right? And we're all auditioning for the same part. I don't remember any of the guys. I remember they were all really friendly. And one guy we all thought was going to get the gig, and he was like the local, I don't know if he worked on the local Fox affiliate or CB or something, CBS or whatever. He was the guy that would go around town to all the little wacky events. You know, he was the wacky event guy. We're all like, this dude's a shoe-in. He's going to get it. You don't get to watch everybody else audition, so you don't know how everybody did. And you go in, they pop their head through the door. Matt, yep, come on in. Boom, I go in, right? And then when you're done, you don't walk back out and talk to anybody. You go out this door and you get in your vehicle and you go home, and then you wait and you hope somebody calls. So I go in there. There's about 8 or 10 people. There's cameras, all that stuff. I wasn't used to a studio setting. They mic me up, and there's a little Chevy S10 sitting there. And I drove a 1996 Ford Ranger at the time, so I was used to these small trucks. And they're like, hey, just say something about the truck. You don't have to get too technical. Just, we want to see how you look on camera and how you sound and this, that, the other. And they're like, don't even worry about what you say or anything. They go and try to go about a minute. I'm like, okay, cool. I go, when do you want me to start? And they go, well, we figured we'd give you a couple minutes to work it out in your head and go over it a little bit. I'm like, I'm ready when you are. I was like, I don't need to go over anything. And they're like, okay, we'll count you in. 3, 2, action. Boom. I start talking about the truck. I'm like, hey, this is just like my little Ranger. Here's why I love small trucks, blah, 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 blah. And I know where I want to go with this. It was just like this extemporaneous speech, basically. You know, you have very little prep on it. And I know where I want to go, and I'm building up to that, and I'm building up to that. And I know it's going fairly good because everybody's smiling. I haven't stumbled over any words or anything. And they just stop me right in the middle of it. They're like, dude, stop. You're done. Whatever. I'm like, okay, sorry. They're like, don't apologize. They're like, that was great, man. And I shook everybody's hand. Thank you. Thank you. I'm like, why'd you stop me? And I was wondering if I was close to a minute, you know? And they're like, yeah, you were at like 5.5 minutes. We've got plenty. So that was kind of funny. And I drove home, and man, I needed that gig. I needed that gig so bad. And I was just praying the whole drive, about an 1.5-hour drive from Tampa to where I lived. And the whole time I'm like, please, please let me get this gig. And the next morning, Elaine called me. Elaine kind of just keeps everything going around there. And she's like, hey, it's Elaine from Breton Productions. I'm like, good morning. You know, and I didn't know at the time that if you don't get picked at the audition, they don't call you. No, nobody will ever call you and tell you, thanks for coming out. We're really sorry, but we're not going to use you. No, they just don't call you, you know. But I didn't know that at the time. So I just figured she's being nice, and she's going to go, yeah, you know, the wacky guy from the sports station, he got it. And she's like, we'd like to hire you, and we would like for you to be one of the hosts. I was like, absolutely, I accept. Very nice conversation. I hung up the phone, and I was like, holy crap, I just got this gig. It's amazing. And then and here we are going into the 21st year of that, which is absolutely crazy. I remember when the show got picked up for the 3rd season, I had a different host the first 2 years, and then Bruno came on in season 3, and he takes credit. He says that's when the ratings started to go up, up, up. And you know what? If that's true, I'll take it. whatever keeps that going, because I love the show. I've become such good friends with people there, and we've had so much fun. And again, I attribute that to showing up on time, working my ass off, and just being nice and kind to everybody. It does pay off after a while. So again, none of this is bragging or anything like that, but everything makes more sense when you're looking back historically, right? And all the little things that fell into place, and this happened and this didn't happen, and people that you met, and now you look back and you go, wow, clearly this happened because of that. It's wonderful. I love it. I love the gig. And that's a brief version of how we got it. The video is way longer than I wanted it to be, but you know, it is what it is. So it's not the lesson, but my thing is, man, if you're young and you're wanting to do anything, whatever it is, anything's possible. Just work your ass off, treat people good, and good things tend to happen. So cheers, guys. I'm going to get back to the fire. We'll see you guys next time.